Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Harry's Highlights. On this video, we're going to talk about the book, The 5-Second Rule. Now this is all about how you can rapidly build positive habits and overcome negative ones. Now, what I really like about this book is it's about applying the 5-second timer in reverse to launch yourself into positive habits, into good decisions. So, a great example of this would be like when you wake up in the morning and your alarm, when your alarm goes off in the morning, that wakes you up. You know, normally for a lot of people, they snooze it, they fall back asleep. So what this is talking about is that in that same situation, you hear your alarm, you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop your alarm, bang, you get up. You launch yourself into good decisions, you then start your day right. And it's talking about how like training yourself to have new habits. Because how many times have people sort of like, I'm stressed, I'll eat food, you know? So other habits, some people might like, I'm stressed, you know, I'll have a cigarette or something like that. All these different ways that they handle things. So what it's talking about is applying the 5-second rule to that habit, then replacing it by, or changing it in a way that you're going to react to it in a positive way. And how we do that is through what's called a habit loop. Any sort of habit you have can be broken down into 3 parts: the cue, the routine, and the reward. So what happens is basically when a habit is triggered, you have the cue. Something happens to trigger that for the beginning of the habit. You then have the routine, which is what happens when you do what the habit is that you do, and the reward that you get for doing the habit. Take for example, people are stressed. One that a lot of people know, some people that are addicted to cigarettes, when a stressful situation comes up, the habit loop is they feel stressed, they want the cigarette, that's the cue. The routine is they light the cigarette, have the cigarette. The reward is they have the nicotine hit, they feel less stressed. So habits determine your future. If somebody always has that habit, you can tell any sort of stressful situation, they're probably going to react in a similar way. What we're talking about here is that breaking down that habit loop into 3 parts and then changing it to get a different result. So in the same situation, you have the cue, you feel stressed, the habit is to have a cigarette, now you're going to change it to something else. You're going to, you know, maybe go for a walk or something like that. The reward is you made the right decision, you then have you still feel distressed because you're more relaxed, and you have the reward of knowing that you weren't participating in something that's harmful to you. So that's about the habit loop. And that's what I liked about the 5-second rule, about breaking it down and not to just like, here's a habit, don't do it. It's about, here's a habit, break it down to its little parts, and how can we do it better? How can we manage it better? Because anything in life, if it can be broken down, it can be managed. You know, if you look at a massive, you know, like building and anything, it's all made up of parts. If you took each part brick by brick, piece by piece, nail by nail, you know, you could deconstruct it or reconstruct it. But if you try to take on the whole building or try to do something with the whole building in a whole, it's obviously too big to manage. Same thing with a habit. When it's broken into these 3 parts, you then got the opportunity to be able to work out each part, how to do them differently to get a different result. Then which brings me to the other part, the next part. What I'll talk about is the locus of control. Now this here is the belief or idea that if you believe you have more control over your life, your habits and your future, the happier you'll be. Which I thought was a really interesting thing, a way to look at things, and how true and accurate it is. It's that, take children for example, when their whole world is basically a sandbox. They have complete control as much as they want. What the things they want there, things they don't want there. They want to build a tunnel, they want to build a castle, whatever it may be. They feel happy because they're in control of what happens to it. Once you get older and you're trying to introduce all these other new areas and new things into your life, the less control you have, the more stress you seem to feel, the less happy you also seem to experience. So with the locus of control, if you apply it to different areas in your life and understand that if you can work out the habit loop, break down into the 3 parts, apply the 5-second rule, you can then increase your control over decisions in your life. Therefore, the flow-on effect is increasing the happiness you'll experience. So anything in life, anything at all that you decide you want to do, it's the lack of control is normally the reason why a lot of the negative feelings flow on from that. Your lack of control, you know, stress increases, you know, negativity creeps in, you know, you might feel like despair, depression, sadness, all these negative things normally happen from the root cause of control. So by regaining control, by applying the 5-second rule, breaking down its habit loops, you then get the opportunity to experience more happiness, and in an easily applicable way for anybody. So to talk more about that one, about the 5-second countdown, it's all about counting down in a reverse way reverse timer from 5 seconds. So no matter what the situation is, how you've got to break it down to the habit loop and what you normally do, and then when you experience that cue, instead of then immediately reacting on it, taking that 5 seconds to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then applying a different routine. So instead of applying it in the same way you normally would, deciding to do things slightly differently for a different reward, a different result. Which then brings me to the next part I want to talk about. So that's the counting down part of it. That's the idea behind that one. How this all comes together is the golden rule of the 5 second rule. Well, the golden rule of habits in general is that you have to replace a negative habit with a positive one. You can't go into the mindset of thinking that very few people, few and far between, can just end a habit cold turkey. So many people, you see it happen in different areas. For example, a gambler gives up gambling, takes up drinking. A smoker, for example, stops smoking, takes up eating. People that like the workaholic, that then that was their routine, that was what their habit was for a long time. Then takes up something else. It's the golden rule is that the easiest way, the most effective way to replace a negative habit is to replace it with a positive one. So whatever it may be in your life or that you sort of experience or looking at, if you find a way to be able to do something differently. So say it's like when you get stressed, you eat. Now that's your cue. Your habit loop is you feel stressed, you eat, the reward is you feel satiated. Now you change it. You then, as soon as you feel stressed, instead of eating, you go to exercise. You go for a walk, go for a run. The routine is you go for a run. The reward is that you feel the flood of endorphins from doing exercise. You feel good because you had control of the situation. And on top of that, the reward is you're losing weight or you're getting fitter. There's a win-win in any situation in that one there. That is how you replace a negative habit with a positive one. And eventually, that'll become a habit. Anything you do for a long enough period of time becomes a habit. Because a habit is your mind's way of finding more efficient systems to navigate through life. So, you'll see it in other areas. Other people might be, when they get angry, they go to punch a wall or something like this one. Better way to handle that one is replace it with a more positive way. Is that, instead of acting violently, talking about it. Just saying it all out loud, what you're going to do. That difference is a step in the right direction. So you have the cue, you get angry. The routine is normally you'd get violent. The reward is then you'd feel the pressure release. Now you change it. Now you look at it as that, you get angry, and instead of acting with violence, you start to talk about it. You talk about all the things that you wanted to do physically and how you want to express that anger. The reward is that you didn't engage in violent behavior. Therefore, you'll feel good. You've got more control of the situation, increasing your happiness. Comes back to that locus of control. In the same situation, you'd also then count down. So you'd also talk about you feel the stress coming on. You stop yourself. You go, now normally here's how I'd handle it. I'd get angry. I'd be violent, and then I'd feel good. Now you stop. You count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You then launch yourself into a good decision of then I'm going to talk about my problem and how I want to handle the situation. That's the routine. The reward is then you didn't engage in that violent behavior. You've handled things better. Because you have better control of your decisions, better control of your life, better control of your future, your happiness increases. And that's also how replacing that negative habit with a positive one. It's a step in the right direction. Sure, you might be able to say things like it's not perfect, but progress, not perfection. So, to quickly summarize about everything here I just covered, I talked about the 5-second countdown. So the 5-second rule in general is based on a 5-second countdown timer about counting backwards from 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're launching yourself into a good decision. And how you do that is then the habit loop. Breaking the habit down to its 3 separate parts of the cue, the routine, and the reward. And understanding each part and what you do during those parts and how you can do things differently. Remembering, habits determine your future. The third thing I was talking about was the locus of control, which was the belief that the more control that you have over your life, your decisions, and your future, the happier you'll feel. So remembering and understanding the value in why you're applying the 5-second rule is because of the locus of control and the reward you want to get from it. Because at the end of the day, most people want to experience more happiness. The thought that I was talking about how we count down, and that no matter what the situation is, you need to apply that countdown, that 5-second rule. It's a rule that you must follow to be able to replace negative habits with positive ones. Which brings me to the last thing I was talking about, which was the golden rule of habits. In order to overcome a negative habit, you must replace it with a positive one. It's very, very hard for people to replace a negative habit with nothing. Because it's a habit, it's something you've done for so long, it takes such an extreme amount of willpower to be able to replace it with nothing and no exchange. The easier, more manageable, effective way to handle it is to replace it with a positive habit. At the end of the day, it's not a bad thing. It's a habit, but a positive one, giving you, a positive reward that's going to benefit you. Now, we're going to be making a lot more of these videos for the training series to help you with your personal development goals. But that's all for now. Until next time, leave a comment below on what you like the most, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the next episode of Harry's Highlights.